Importance of karma. Why should a person be constantly motivated towards karma? Almost all of us wish that all happenings in our lives should be good so that we can have constant happiness, success in everything we do, our children listening to us, healing with us, diseases staying away from us, constantly prospered. In short, everything good should happen. The only way to ensure only good things happen with us is to ensure that our doings are always right. That's the simplest of reasons why we should be constantly motivated towards right karma. Here karma stands for doings which would later fructify into happenings.
Sanchita karma is equal to sum of all our karmas of past and present lives that is yet to fructify. Prarabdha karma is equal to karmas of past and present lives, which have started fructifying. Prarabdha has to be enjoyed, or suffered, and exhausted in the present life, and there is no alternative to it. Prarabdha is absolutely certain, and nobody can avoid it. Agami karma is equal to karma of present life that will start fructifying later in this life, or next life. Agami karma can be stopped from fructifying by doing virtuous deeds.
Motivation for performing right karma. How should a person motivate oneself for performing right karma? As mentioned earlier, that one thing almost everyone would love to have is absolute happiness, and that one can achieve if all happenings in life are good. And to enable that all doings in life should be right. There are people who learn this lesson of karma, and try their best to stop all wrong doings, and do only right things. But still bad things happen in their lives. In that situation they get frustrated, and think that the theory is not working for them. This is because they did not understand Prarabdha. We all have a portion of past and present lives, doings that fructify in this life. Unless we have enjoyed, suffered, and exhausted our Prarabdha, we would continue to experience bad happenings even if we have stopped all wrong doings. We need to have patience to exhaust our Prarabdha. However, one fine day, by stopping all wrong doings, and doing only right things, one can avoid fructification of agami karma partially or totally. When a person's Prarabdha is exhausted and he has succeeded in stopping his agami karma from fructifying in future, that person from that point of time is called Jivanmukta, living liberated. From that point in time, law of karma would not have sway on that person. Life of a Jivanmukta is free of karma's effects. Make your life's goal to become a Jivanmukta.
Your short-term goal should be to become a Jivanmukta, living liberated person. And your long-term goal should be to attain moksha, liberation.
Once convinced by this philosophy, the next question that arises in our minds is that if doing right karma is so important, then what makes a person do wrong karma? The answer is free will. A person's free will. Free will. Do you believe that human beings are mere puppets in the hands of God? Do you think we just do God's will, and nothing of our own will? If God did everything through us, and we were just his puppets, then we would have equal respect for a criminal and a good Samaritan. If criminal is also doing God's will, and a good Samaritan is also doing God's will, then why should we differentiate between the two? If everyone were mere puppet of God, and doing exactly what God were making one do, then there would not have been any reason why we would love one and hate another. The truth is that we get to decide all our actions. Karma, action, is in our hands, fruit, result, is not. In Bhagavad Gita, Sri Krishna says, action is in your hand but the fruit of action is not in your hand. Here, action stands for doing and fruit stands for happening. We decide our actions, what we do in our lives, and our action decides the fruit, what happens in our lives. At this point a doubt might arise in your mind. What if somebody asks you to do something by coercion? If you go ahead and do that, would that doing be still out of your free will? The answer is absolutely yes. Life always gives us choices. Sometimes, the choices may be cruel, but we always have choices. Remember that even if somebody is asking you to do something at gunpoint, you still have two choices: either do what you are asked to do, or be ready to face the consequences of not obeying the person. You select your options using your free will. If you are convinced with this theory of free will, then your next question might be, what's the source of free will? What makes a person will freely to serve or harm others? The answer is person's thoughts. Thoughts precede actions. Even if you act in a second, you have thought about it in millionth of a second. You may do several things together, such as while driving you may talk to someone with you or over phone, listen to music, watch traffic lights and signs, read the street names and driving directions, etc. Yet if you have to apply sudden brake, mind thinks about it, and foot presses the brake. You might think that you applied the brake in fraction of a second, but know that the thought of applying the brake took just 1/100th of that second. Your thought can reach the moon in less than a second, while physically you would take days to reach there. Like science believes that without the instruction of brain no physical organ will act, similarly thoughts are extremely important for an action. Now next you might like to know about the source of thought. Why we think what we think. Source of your thoughts?
Scriptures say a thought gives birth to an action may turn into a habit, habits decide our character, and character decides our destiny. Thought, action, habit, character, destiny. Which means if we want a great destiny, then our thoughts should be great. In short, the source of our destiny is our thoughts. But what's the source of our thoughts? Let's look at an illustration before we proceed. A man is walking down a street and notices a big rock in the middle of road. A thought comes to his mind, let me put it aside. Immediately a second thought comes, forget it. What do I care? He goes a few steps and changes his mind again, comes back and picks the rock and throws it on the side of the road. Well, what was the source of these thoughts? Why did he first think of putting the rock aside? What made him immediately think of forgetting it? What made him think again what he first thought?
There are many answers to that question. One way of looking at it, there is a cosmic mind from where we borrow thoughts. Many people get the same thought. Obviously, there is one repository of thoughts called the cosmic mind, and everyone gets one's thoughts from there, so why wouldn't it be possible for two people to think the same way? The cosmic mind is like a library, and the thoughts are the books in that library. People borrow thoughts from the cosmic mind like they borrow books from library. To many, that's not very convincing. If we accept that, then the next question would be why we borrow the thought that we borrow. What makes a person borrow a harmful thought, and what makes another person borrow a helpful thought? Or what makes a person borrow a harmful thought sometime and helpful thought another time? The cosmic mind theory is great, but somehow not very compelling. As per another school of thoughts, the thoughts arise from desire. But then, desire emerges from mind. That would mean, thought emerges from desire, and desire emerges from mind. But as per yet another school of thoughts, mind and thoughts are same. A mind is nothing but a bundle of thoughts. Where is our mind? Mind is not an organ in our body. Our mind doesn't have a fixed place outside our body either. Then where is our mind? Mind is where our thoughts are. If right now you are thinking of a friend who is in a faraway country, then right now your mind is in that distant country. Next moment if you are thinking of man walking on moon, then your mind will be on the moon. If you are thinking of God, then the mind will be on God. So, our minds and our thoughts are not different. Vedanta explains mind as a package of 4 states, or functions: manas, buddhi, chit, and ahamkara. Manas, sensory, or processing mind, deliberation. Buddhi, intellect, determination. Chit, memory, recollection. Ahamkara, ego, feeling egoistic. On seeing a chair, a person does not at once determine it as a chair. In the beginning he is vaguely aware of it as something. He is in an indecisive state. So he ponders, what is it? What is it? That function of deliberation is manas, sensory, or processing mind. Then he searches within and recalls some past impression similar to it. With that recollection, he cognizes the object as a chair. This function of determination is buddhi, intellect. And the function of recollection is chit, memory, or storage of impressions. With the knowledge, this is chair, arises the ego, I know this is chair. This function of egoism is ahamkara, ego. It might take just a jiffy for a person to identify a chair as a chair. But in fraction of that second 4 types of thoughts have taken place, starting from, what is this, to, I know this is chair. Vedanta says that the unreal world ceases to exist for a person in deep sleep. His mind creates the world again when he wakes up. Similarly, the mind ceases to exist for a person in deep meditation, because in deep meditation there are no thoughts. When there are no thoughts, there's no mind, or even the body and intellect, BMI, just the real self, consciousness. Hence, as per that school of thoughts, mind is to thoughts what ocean is to water. Mind, verily, is thought like ocean is water. If mind and thoughts are considered same, then our sentence will be reframed to thought emerges from desire and desire emerges from thoughts. Leaving aside the concept of thought and mind, let's analyze how desire emerges from mind. Illustration: looking at a luxury car, immediately a desire arises in somebody's mind. How does that desire arise? If mere senses are cause of desire, then that person had seen similar luxury cars many times earlier too. If that desire was in his mind from where it materialized now, then that mind, his mind, he always had. What caused that desire to take concrete shape just today? Thoughts do have some role in developing desires. A desire of taking revenge may be backed by the desirous thought, I have to take revenge. A desire of getting a vision of God may be backed by the thought, I want to see God. A desire might not stand by itself unless it is provided the feed of thoughts. If the thoughts producing desire are suppressed, then the desire might cease to exist. Even after the physical body dies, the mind lives. This mind contains the desirous thoughts and other memories too. Hence, there are cases when a person recollects memories of his past life, because his mind is still the same that he had in his last life with all memories in it. That mind also contains the desirous thoughts, unfulfilled desires of previous life, which unknowingly he fulfills in this life.
Even after the physical body dies, the mind lives. This mind contains the desirous thoughts and other memories too. Hence, there are cases when a person recollects memories of his past life, because his mind is still the same that he had in his last life with all memories in it.
Thinking process is extremely fast. When we say that I acted without thinking, what people generally mean is, I acted without thinking of the consequences. In the example that we were discussing, while driving we apply sudden brake, and we think that we press the brakes even without thinking. Actually, we do think, there is possibly danger ahead. I need to immediately stop. I need to apply brake. I am applying the brake. Here I go, brake. If it takes 1 second to apply the brake, it takes just a small fraction of that second to think all that, and when the mind does that we don't even come to know. However, what we do not think in that 1 second is the consequence of applying sudden brake. On the other hand, when a train driver sees a person on his track, he never applies sudden brake. The reason is that his mind gets time to think of the consequence of suddenly stopping the train, which might be carrying 1,000 passengers or more. This mind is a beautiful thing and quite difficult to understand. Sometimes a person might let 100 people die if that would keep him alive. And at times a person's act can kill himself to save somebody's life. If you attempt to attack a person, that person might immediately try to defend himself due to his desire to survive. But the same person while driving might put his life into danger to save a child that suddenly appears in front of his car. If the driver has desire of survival, then why doesn't he run over the child? Why the desire of survival doesn't let him run over the child? The reason is the thought behind the desire. When you think for yourself, your desire would be to survive. When you think of others, your desire would be to protect others even at the cost of your life. Our desires root from our thoughts. In The Power of Myth, Joseph Campbell talks about a policeman who risked his life and saved a person. Later, when that policeman was interviewed, and asked why he didn't think of his own life and family before doing that, the policeman replied, "If I would have let that man die in front of my eyes, then throughout my life I couldn't have forgiven myself." People had seen this cop rushing out of his car, and going and saving the other person. All that happened in seconds, and everyone thought that the cop didn't think at all. But that cop had already thought about it. It's my duty to save this man, and if I fail in my duty to save his life, then I will not be able to forgive myself throughout my life. Thought thou art too fast. Samskaras, mental impressions, are the source of our thoughts. Samskaras are built up over several lifetimes. They are directly related to our karmas, which we already discussed, and are created out of our free will. Right karmas inculcate right samskaras in us, and wrong karmas, wrong samskaras. Reflection is clearer in a clean mirror than in a dirty mirror. Similarly, more the right samskaras in a mind, more would be the right thoughts generating in the mind. Sri Paramahansa Yogananda has the following explanation for source of thoughts. Many people do not believe that sensations precede thoughts because the thought seems to be simultaneous. But the fact is that when a sensation reaches the brain, that sensation immediately rouses thoughts. Your greatest enemies are sensations. If no sensations are registered in the brain, you could not be disturbed. Thoughts are the result of sensations or memories of sensations. If you can stop them, you can stop the thoughts. Sensations do not exist on the periphery of the body. You enjoy or suffer from the brain. The popular way to do away with thought is by diversion, but the scientific way is to shut off the senses so that one may easily and completely withdraw the attention from disturbing sensation-arousing objects.
During meditation, we should shut off all our senses so that we may completely withdraw the attention from disturbing thoughts.
Is the law of karma applicable to human beings alone? Plants have annamaya kosha, body, and pranamaya kosha, respiratory system. Animals have annamaya kosha, body, pranamaya kosha, respiratory system, and manomaya kosha, mind. Human beings have annamaya kosha, body, pranamaya kosha, respiratory system, manomaya kosha, mind, vijnanamaya kosha, sense of right and wrong, and anandamaya kosha, experience of bliss. Different schools of thought have different theories, however. Law of karma is not applicable to any species that do not have the sense of right and wrong. Animals are very intelligent, sometimes more intelligent than human beings. But they do not have the sense of right and wrong, albeit, they do have the sense of good and bad. I am repeating the following illustration. Consider a man, who is a criminal, has a wife and a dog. If his wife, even after knowing that he is a criminal, supports him, then that would amount to her doing wrong karma. The dog, by its very nature, will always support the man, because he is the dog's master. The wife, being a human being, has the sense of right and wrong, and if she is a law-abiding person, will not support a criminal. The dog doesn't understand what's legal and what's illegal since it lacks the sense of right and wrong. For a dog, its master is always right, whether its master is a saint or a criminal. A tiger would kill another animal or even human being if it wants. Tiger has no other option. If it has to live, then it has to kill. Snakes will bite, and scorpions will sting. Law of karma doesn't apply to plants, animals, or any beings other than human beings. Here I would once again repeat that animals do have very good sense of good against bad, but not about right against wrong. What is the importance of karma? Only through right karmas people can rise above annamaya kosha, body, pranamaya kosha, respiratory system, manomaya kosha, mind, vijnanamaya kosha, sense of right and wrong, and enjoy the peaceful state of anandamaya kosha, bliss. Only through right karma people can stop their agami karma from fructifying. Only through right karma people can enjoy jivanmukta life, living liberated. Only through right karma people can bring an end to its cycle of birth, death, and rebirth. Your karma has made you forgotten your divine nature, and made you to believe your pseudo-nature. Now, for you to forget your pseudo-nature, and start living your divine nature, only the knowledge of karma theory would help. It's only through our knowledge that we identify a thought or an action to be right or wrong. Though right and wrong are not relative terms, there is no foolproof source that could tell us what is right and what is wrong. We, every individual, identify a thought or action to be either right or wrong based on our knowledge and experience.
Do unto others as you would have them do unto your loved ones and you. And know for sure that that's the right thing.
And for that reason we have to have a great depth of knowledge. Vedanta is one philosophy that provides immense knowledge. A deep study of Vedanta can enrich us with all that knowledge that we would need to discriminate right from wrong. And that would lead us to live a happy life. What's your duty towards a wrongdoer? Having understood what really is right, or wrong karma, it's our duty to show right path to such wrongdoers. Whether the other person listens to us, or not, is up to the other person. Story, son biting mother's ear. There was a small boy who lived with his mother. One day the boy stole a pencil in school. He told about the stealing to his mother, but the mother didn't mind. She thought, good for her, she doesn't have to spend any money on buying such stationery for his son. Later another day the boy stole more stuff from his fellow students in the school and told his mother about it. The mother didn't ask him to stop. This went on, and the boy grew up to become a thief. And finally one day he ended up behind bars. When his mother visited him in jail, he told his mother that he wanted to tell something in her ear. When the mother brought her ear close to him, he bit his mother's ear. The mother was surprised at his behavior, and asked why he did that. The son told her that she was the cause of him becoming a thief. Had she stopped her when he first stole in his school, he wouldn't have been behind bars that day. The moral of the story is that we shouldn't ignore the wrongdoings of our loved ones. Whether that person is our child, sibling, spouse, friend, or anybody, we should stop him from doing wrong. If we don't do our duty, then not only we are doing a big mistake, but also that very person might turn to us one day and tell us that we should have stopped him earlier. One way or the other, it's our responsibility to at least attempt to bring a wrongdoer on the right path.
Every adult has right to live his own way. If you find somebody's actions are wrong, you may advise him, give your opinion, suggest, "If I were you then." But do not force your opinion on him. I am sure you would agree that if anybody forces you to act against your will, then you wouldn't like it either. So, why force your will on others?
To what extent should a wrongdoer change? We cannot apply vanilla solution to every problem. Vedanta never taught to change from being a wrong person to tolerating a wrong person. To what extent a wrongdoer should change is told in the following story. Story: Snake and Saint. In a village forest there lived a snake. Kids were terrified with that snake and would warn about the snake to anyone new in the village and passing through that forest. One day a saint was passing from there and the kids warned him about the snake. The saint told the kids that he would take care of it. Hardly had the saint entered the forest when he saw the snake standing on the way. The snake was about to bite the saint, when the saint asked the snake to stop. He told the snake that the snake was unnecessarily harming others and that it should change its attitude. The snake agreed to the saint and requested blessings. The saint gave spiritual initiation to the snake, and gave it a name and a mantra to chant, and instructed it not to harm anybody. The snake changed to a new avatar. When the village kids noticed that the snake had stopped harassing others, the kids started hitting the snake with sticks and stones. The snake was badly injured, and had become weak but didn't harm anybody as per his guru's instructions. After a few days the saint was passing through that forest. He called out the name of the snake. The injured snake crawled out from a hole and fell at the saint's feet. The saint asked how all that had happened. Who hurt it so badly? Only after being repeatedly asked, the snake told the saint, "The kids realized that I would not hurt anybody. They took advantage of it, and hit me with sticks and stones." The saint replied, "Why did you take all that beatings? Why did you not retaliate?" Snake said, "How could I have bitten anybody? You told me not to harm anyone." Saint responded, "I told you not to harm. Did I tell you not to scare them away? Only if you had raised your hood, and scared them away, that would have been enough. You don't have to bite anyone." Moral of the story: stay cool, don't freeze.
Inaction is a wrong karma when action is required, and action is a wrong karma when inaction is enough.
Inaction. The two words, karma and action, have become synonym. That gives an impression that karma takes place only when there's an action. Well, that's true provided the task of no action is also considered as action. Illustration: you are walking down a lonely street, and you notice a person lying on the side of the road, who is badly injured but still alive. It might have been a hit and run case. What's your karma then? If you don't take any action, does that mean you are producing no karma? Different schools of thought might have different answers to it. However, at least one school definitely believes you're walking away from there without helping the dying man as Wrong karma. Your wrong karma would be much less than the person who hit and ran away, but still not helping the dying man would be your wrong karma. You didn't take any action to help him. But in that situation, you're not helping him, and walking away itself is a negative action, which would determine karma. No action is the action that would determine karma in the above case.